Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ray, and I'm the technical support for Enartis Pacific. Today, we're covering the second part of the vegan finding webinar. So, as we've mentioned last time, if you would like to access the full list of products Enartis carry for vegetarian and vegan-friendly wines, you can find this through our website under the product tab and set the filter to vegan. Any product with the green leaf logo is declared as an allowable additive in vegan and vegetarian winemakings under the European regulations. And last week, we went over the new finding products, Claril ZW, Claril ZR, as well as the Plantis range. This week, we're covering the vegan finding products with, per se, for selective purpose. So these are Combistab AF and Claril QY at the bottom to be used as alternative to casein and milk-based finding products. Claril HM and Stabyl Met designed for metal chelating purpose. EnartisStab Micro M, which is an antimicrobial agent but also demonstrates great efficacy on absorbing various off aromas. Phenol-free, an activated carbon product for reducing volatile phenols mainly, and Revelarom, a complex copper finding agent for treating sulfur-related off aromas. So first off, we'll talk a little bit about Combistab AF and Claril QY. Combistab AF is a blend of PVPP, pea protein, and silicon dioxide. So the main purpose of this product is to prevent and cure oxidation and pinking occurring whites, as well as reduction of bitterness. In regards to phenols or flavonoids in white wines, the most frequent compounds we talk about is catechin. So catechins are extracted from seeds and are known to contribute to bitterness in wine, along with the flavonols. The concentration ranges from usually 10 to 15 milligrams per liter in white wines. It also plays an essential role in white wine oxidation post-alcoholic fermentation. This is because the hydroxycinnamate and flavonols are the two important polyphenolic compounds in terms of quantity and ability to participate in oxidation reactions in white wines. In particular, oxidation of catechins and epicatechins, which are groups of flavonols, leads to the formation of yellow or brown products due to the polymerization of the orthoquinones, and this is what we refer to as browning in white wines. Combistab AF has a high affinity towards the catechins, thanks to the PVPP component in the wine. So PVPP is a cross-linked synthetic polymer is commonly used to prevent organoleptic degradation by reducing the polyphenol content in white and rosé wines. It also absorbs anthocyanins and other pigments. The absorption of phenolics by PVPP involves the hydrogen bonding between the proton donor from the phenolic compound and the carbonyl group from PVPP, together with the overlap of the delocalized electrons and the hydrophobic reactions. And the P protein fraction in Combistab AF also reduces phenolic compounds associated with bitterness and browning, and generally is considered to be softer than the use of gelatin or isinglass. It can be also used for decolorizing the wines. So through laboratory trials, we've also found that pea protein is able to reduce iron content to that extent. Here you can see Combistab AF and Plantis AF. Remember, we've discussed about this range of products mainly consists of plant protein during the last webinar. They both report a reduction in iron and copper content ranging from 10 to 20% for copper and around 5% for iron. And note that another product included in the comparison, Claril HM, reported the highest reduction in copper and iron. So this is a selective finding agent with the main functionality focusing on serving as a metal chelator with a different chemical property, and we'll cover this later on in the presentation. And then lastly, the silica fraction in the blend of Combistab AF facilitates the speediness of precipitation and least compaction to help with the easy process of fining. And with the combination of these composition, you can in broader terms consider Combistab AF as the vegan alternative to casein or potassium caseinate in white wine findings for the purpose of decolorizing, prevention of browning and pinking, curing oxidation, and reduce bitterness. Moving on to Claril QY, this is a complex blend made of yeast derivatives and ketogen. Yeast derivatives as a protein finding agent, so in this case the protein released from Saccharomyces cerevisiae, has the ability to form complexes with wine tannins, creating negatively charged hydrophobic colloids. The yeast derivatives included in the blend is derived specifically from the soluble extract after the total degradation of the cytoplasmic content and elimination of the cell walls of the yeast. And these protein extracts are not classified as food allergens by the European law, and since 2013 are allowed for finding of grape juice and wine according to the European Union regulation. Due to the high affinity between the yeast derivatives and the phenolic compounds, Claril QY works very efficiently on reducing the astringency and bitterness of red wines. It also removes any unstable color compounds and enhances the overall clarity. Despite mainly being used in red wines, we also have had a few customers using the products in whites to reduce bitterness associated with the phenolics and fine-tune the structure of the wine. So you can consider this product as the alternative to casing and egg white findings in reds. The ketogen fraction in the blend helps with enhancing the positive charges over the surface of the yeast derivatives, hence elevating the overall finding efficiency. And this is due to the fact that the NH2 group on the ketogen compound is largely protonated under 1 pH. And we have gone over this mechanism during the first part of the vegan finding webinar. The sensory spider web we've shown here compares the impact of Claril QY versus Clarich M, which is a gelatin product, and FineCo, which is our isinglass product on a red wine. So all products will be able to significantly reduce the astringency and dryness, but Claril QY's treatment showcased the greatest overall balance and softness. Moving on to the next two corrective finding agents of the metal chelators, Claril HM and Stabyl Met. Both of these products contain the compound PVI-PVP, which is the component actively absorbs heavy metal as well as partially remove any phenolic compounds, such as hydroxycinnamic acids and low molecular weight catechins. Claril HM is a blend of PVI-PVP with ketogen produced from the fungus and organic acids. And the product removes major compounds involved in wine oxidation, so heavy metals such as copper, iron, aluminum, hydroxycinnamic acids, and catechins, and demonstrate strong affinity towards specifically copper and iron. Stabyl Met, on the other hand, is a blend of PVI-PVP and silicon dioxide. The latter helps with the precipitation and formation of compact leads. So the removal of the metals is tightly linked with prevention of oxidation. In wines, as I've shown here, the molecular oxygen does not react directly with most wine components. Instead, the oxygen consumption requires the presence of transitional metal catalysts as hydrogen donor molecules, particularly iron 2 and then the diphenols. The metal catalyze oxidation of diphenols will then form quinol and hydrogen peroxide. And as quinones are strongly electrophilic, this will react with the nucleophiles in the wines, namely bisulfides, thiols, flavonols, etc., and causing the losses of wine flavor characteristics, hence oxidation. So the active component in Claril AM Claril HM, the copolymer which chelates metal ions, in particular iron, copper, and wine, is completely insoluble in all solvents and act by physical contact. And by eliminating the heavy metal catalyst, this prevents the oxidation reaction to take place even with the presence of oxygen. So as we mentioned before, Claril HM also contains ketosine, which has a side activity for chelating metal as well. Hence, the combination overall enhances the finding capacity. Here, we're showing an experiment conducted on a white wine comparing Claril HM and STAB Micro M by UC Davis in California. And the results demonstrated that Claril HM treatment showed the least consumption of free sulfur, second lowest increase in acetaldehyde, which is a marker for oxidation, and the greatest aroma retention among all the different treatments. And Stabyl Met, on the other side, is a blend of silicon dioxide and PBI-PVP that has very similar properties compared to Claril HM. And we mentioned before that the silicon dioxide fraction assists with the precipitation and least compaction in wine. So if you prefer a ketosine-free product, then Stabyl Met is the alternative to go. AWRI, the Australian Wine Research Institute, has recently published a technical review on the efficiency of both products. And here, these two graphs demonstrated the average percentage of reduction in copper and iron for both Stabyl Met, which is the black box, and Claril HM, the white treatment, ranging from 10% all the way up to 80%. And these two finding agents potentially can also be powerful tools for canning products. So the canning fraction is one of the fastest growing segments in wine and cider industry. However, the current issue of such packaging choice is that the products often display reductive characters from hydrogen sulfide and methanthiols, usually within 3 to 6 months post-bottling. The presence of the transitional metals, especially copper, in the wine speeds up such formation, and then plus the aluminum released from the can interior during storage could also affect the formation of reductive aromas. Currently, our US team is collaborating with the Australian Wine Research Institute on applying PBI-PVP products to remove metals before packaging, hence reducing the chances of reappearance of reductive aromas. Again, AWRI has published preliminary bench-scale trial data showing that by removing the copper content using our products, the formation of hydrogen sulfide was lower even with the presence of aluminum in the model wines. Now we're going to talk about STAB Micro M. This is a very multifunctional finding agent. So the product is an activated ketosine formulation blended with yeast hosts rich in beta-glucans. Ketosine is a derivative of ketene obtained from the fungus Aspergillus niger. So for STAB Micro M, the activation is carried out with the use of organic acids, hence increasing the charge sites on the surface of the molecule, improving their reactivities towards microbes. So the activated ketosine product has a primary amino group NH3+ under 1 pH, hence is able to interact with the negatively charged residues on the cell membrane surface of spillage microbes by altering their membrane permeability. The bacteria is then killed off due to the exposure of osmotic shock, and hence leading towards death. And this is a great product for many different uses. First of all, as we discussed before, the product is very effective towards a wide spectrum of spillage microorganisms. It has no significant reactivity towards Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and therefore it can be applied during various time points throughout vintage and storage. By preventing growth of the spillage microorganisms such as lactic acid bacteria, acetobacters, and Brettanomyces, this effectively controls and minimizes the formation of any off-flavor compounds such as acetic acid, undesirable volatile phenol compounds, etc. And the yeast host component in the blend also demonstrates ability to absorb reductive sulfur compounds. For wine aging in barrel and concrete tanks, Brettanomyces has a higher chance of being a potential contaminant, as these two materials have a porous structure, so providing a great shelter for the microbe, and causing complete sanitization rather complicated. For wines stored in these type of vessels, as a preventive treatment, we usually recommend 3 to 5 grams per hectoliter of EnartisStab Micro M during the transfer to barrels, concrete tanks, or amphoras as a preventive action. And Stab Micro M can also be used to postpone or prevent malolactic fermentation, hence giving you a better control on fermentation timeline in the cellar. This is also essential for sparkling-based wine to prevent them from going through natural malolactic fermentation prior to the secondary fermentation in bottles. From a shelf life point of view, the ketosine offers side activity to remove catechins and metals, which allows the wines to be less prone to oxidation and preserves fresher aromas and color for a longer period of time. In terms of wine style, this product can be a great tool for low sulfur or sulfur-free natural wines due to the antimicrobial property. And for treating base wine or sparkling prior to secondary in bottle fermentation, for using sweet wines, which are more susceptible to microbial contamination. For example, wines sweetened with concentrated must is more susceptible to Saccharomyces, and this is a rather robust yeast which is otherwise very difficult to manage. The product is also recommended for use in bulk wine transportation, where the wine could potentially be exposed to a wide range of different contaminants. And lastly, Stab Micro M could be a great tool for cider making and brewing, given that microbial stability is very essential for cideries and breweries, especially in the case where concentrated or unpasteurized apple juice is being used. And several clients of us use ketosine in the juice as well as during maturation period to manage microbial load and reduce any off flavors. Moving on to some data. On the left, we're showing a list of various microorganisms you can find in wine, as well as Stab Micro M's reactivity towards each of them, with 3 axes being the highest reactivity and 1 X means there is no significant reactivity. And on the top right hand side, this was a trial looking at Stab Micro M's ability to absorb reductive aromas, so sulfur-related compounds in a white wine. And the treatment reported efficient reduction in both mercaptans and disulfide. On the bottom is a trial comparing the product's ability to remove catechins on a white wine at 2 different dosage levels. And with 10 grams per hectoliter, you can see the reduction of catechins was over 40% compared to the control. Here's some more data to look at. So on the top left, we've tested the population of Brettanomyces in a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Barolo, so Nebbiolo, and another red wine 10 days after the application of Stab Micro M at 3 different dosages. Again, you can see very substantial reduction in the population of the microbes over the period of time. On the top right, here's a trial on the prevention of malolactic fermentation. So we were measuring the reduction in malic acid concentration over a period of 60 days. The yellow line represents the treatment with Stab Micro M at 10 grams per hectoliter, and the blue line here is the control. And lastly, at the bottom, looking on the impact of Stab Micro M on concentration of 4-ethyl glycol and 4-ethyl phenol, 2 sensory markers for contamination of Brettanomyces, with control on the left-hand side and then treatment on the right. And now we'll go over two other corrective fining agents, phenol-free and activated carbon products, and Revelarom, a copper salt-based product for curing reductive aromas. Revelarom is a fining complex with copper organic salt in a protein and mineral matrix. The copper content is roughly around 0.7%. The product is very effective on correcting and preventing the appearance of reductive odors such as hydrogen sulfides and mercaptans. And the composition in the blend allows the precipitation and removal of chelates formed between the copper and the sulfur compounds, hence preventing the reoccurrence of reductive aromas post-bottlings, and prevents formation of copper haze and other copper-induced instability, such as solid deposit of calcium L-tartrate precipitates, both due to dehydrolysis at the aging stage. And the product also eliminates any metallic taste associated with the standard copper fining treatment. Alternatively, if winemaker wishes to cure reductive aromas, especially mercaptans and disulfides, which are hard to eliminate just by aeration, we recommend trialing with Surly 1. This is an yeast hull product enzymatically activated, very effective on absorbing any reductive compounds, as well as providing wine with the sensory benefits of Surly, which is a prolonged period of aging on lees. And phenol-free is an activated carbon product in powder form. It's used for deodorizing with high affinity towards volatile phenols related to Brettanomyces and smoktan, without stripping too much color of the wine. So phenol-free has a strong affinity towards 4-ethyl glycol and 4-ethyl phenol. With this trial on a Merlot, 200 ppm of phenol-free was able to achieve a 30% reduction on the volatile phenol content. And during the tasting, the panel composed of 13 expert judges all preferred a treated wine. And on smoke tank remediation, so when grapes are exposed to smoke, they can absorb volatile phenols, which binds to the sugar rings in the grapes, forming non-volatile phenolic glycosides. In juice and wine, both volatile phenols and their glycosides can cause very unpleasant, ashy, and smoky sensory sensations, and the lingering aftertaste, commonly described as smoke tan. And the activated carbon products in general are highly porous, carbon-rich materials. Widely used in applications such as filtration and water treatments, they are known to absorb organic compounds, including undesirable contaminants, and have been found to also possess affinity towards the volatile phenols and corresponding phenolic glycosides associated with the smoke tan. Although this property of the activated carbon is still in early stage of research, the Australian Wine Research Institute has already published few articles and reports on the effectiveness of such treatments. And from the preliminary data of our research trials, we found that phenol-free, along with two other activated carbon products in our range, that is Black PAF and Black Perlarge, all demonstrated ability to reduce the concentration of smoke tan markers such as glycol and methyl glycol in both smoke tanned juice and wine. So if any winemakers are affected by the bushfire incidents this vintage and are interested in trialing with carbon fining products, please feel free to reach out to us. And finally, here's just a brief recap on the products we've mentioned in this webinar. Combistab AF and Claril QY as the fining blends alternative to casing and egg white fining in white and reds. Claril HM and Stabyl Met as metal chelators and treatments for preventing oxidation and prolonging shelf life. STAB Micro M, the activated ketosine product widely applicable in various stages during the winemaking process. Phenol-free for reducing volatile phenol concentration. And Revelarom for curing of the reductive aromas. If you have any questions or inquiries, please feel free to reach out to us through the email listed below. Thank you all for your attention and hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.